The rain in Verrin Hollow never stopped. It just changed forms, a mist in the morning, a downpour at noon, a slow silver drizzle by night. It soaked the stone, kissed the leaves, and clung to your skin like a second memory. The people there spoke softly, moved slowly, and never wandered beyond the riverbend. After dusk, they knew what lived in the fog. I lived in the bell tower above the apothecary. My mother left it to me when she passed, along with the maps, the spells, and the warnings. She used to say our family was bound to the hollow, that we weren't born here, we were kept here. I didn't believe her. Not until the tremors started. At first they were small, barely more than a ripple in the stone, but then the glass began to crack, birds stopped nesting, dreams grew teeth, and then he returned. He stepped from the forest as if no time had passed, boots laced with ash, eyes like storm clouds. The townsfolk scattered when they saw him, as if his presence opened something they'd spent decades trying to bury. He didn't speak when he came to the apothecary, just placed a satchel on the counter, wet, tattered, humming with old magic inside, a single black feather still warm. I hadn't seen one in years, not since the gate was sealed. I wanted to ask him how he escaped, but his silence was the answer. He hadn't. He wasn't supposed to exist outside the rift, not after what happened at the Ember Bridge, but then neither was I. We'd once stood at the edge of that bridge, him and I, watching the veil between worlds crack like melting glass. They'd said he was the heir of the Hollow's darkness, made from its oldest shadows. I didn't care, I loved him anyway, and when the gatekeepers came, I broke the seal to let him pass through. It cost everything, my mother's life, the trust of the Hollow, my voice for a year. He vanished into the rift that day, torn from me by magic too old to reason with. Now here he was, unchanged but not the same. We spoke nothing that first night, just lit candles, watched the rain blur the horizon. He traced the broken feather with his fingertip like it hurt to hold. That night I dreamed of the Hollow's heart of fire, of blood, and of his hand reaching for mine across the ruin of our choices. He began to stay quietly, as if he feared being too real would send him back. He slept on the floor beside the hearth. Every morning he left before sunrise and returned with herbs I hadn't seen bloom since before the tremors began. Every evening we sat at the edge of silence. It was on the 7th night that he finally spoke. They're waking, he said, voice like wind dragged through stones. The gate never held. I asked him how long we had, until the river runs red. It did. 3 days later, the water thickened with rust and memory. The bells told themselves, the sky fractured into amber and gray. And I finally asked him the question that clawed inside my ribs: how did you come back? He didn't answer. Instead, he handed me a mirror, not one of glass, but obsidian, an old scrying shard carved from the spines of the Hollow's first watchers. My breath caught. You didn't escape. I whispered, you broke through. He nodded. At what cost? His eyes closed. My name, my future, my tether. The room tilted. Tether was an ancient word. It meant soul line, lifeblood. To sever a tether was to offer your place in any world for a sliver of time in one. He gave up eternity to return. And I remembered the spell I cast all those years ago, how it bound me to the Hollow so he could leave, how it was my magic that the veil had marked. I had brought him back, but only for as long as I remained. The tremors grew violent that night. The Hollow moaned in its sleep. The people fled toward the cliffs, murmuring the names of their ancestors, clutching soil and salt and sky. He held me by the fire, hand over my heart, whispering things I once believed only in dreams. I never wanted you to carry this, he said. You were meant for mornings. I was born of dusk. I wept, but the tears never reached the floor. The ground was already splitting beneath us. I'm not afraid, I told him. You should be. I'm not. The Hollow asked for sacrifice, and I gave it mine. I stepped into the fault line, and he screamed, but not in pain, in memory, because he knew. My soul line didn't end, it folded, wrapped around the roots of the Hollow. Wove through every leaf, every stone. I became part of it, and in doing so, I healed it. The tremors stopped. The sky unfractured. The rain finally ceased. They say a girl once lived in the bell tower, that she spoke to shadows and turned rivers clear, that a man with smoke in his veins still visits the edge of the woods at dawn, waiting for the wind to say her name. Sometimes when the fog curls just right, the bells chime on their own. And in the hush that follows, you can hear it. I never left.